So before we get into shifts, let's talk quickly about shift management overall in Office 365. It is part of your Office 365 subscription, so if you do have a subscription that includes Teams, you do have this functionality. It is really geared towards first-line workers, and these are our colleagues that may not have an office, may not have a desk per se, may not use a PC that is dedicated to them, but they may have a mobile device that's their own, and we can empower these folks with an inexpensive Office 365 subscription. Shifts is an ideal replacement for paper or whiteboard-based schedules, and I'm sure all of us can think back to a job when we were younger when we had to sign up each week for all the variety of shifts and write our names either on a schedule on a bulletin board or on a whiteboard, and try not to erase or write over other colleagues. Team managers in this system can create and share schedules for their teams, which we're going to demonstrate in just a few minutes. Employees can grab unscheduled shifts. You can even swap shifts between colleagues, and you can do your time off requests all using this app and functionality. Managers can share shift notes, tasks, and goals, which is particularly helpful if colleagues and staff and managers, they may not all be at the same place all at the same time. And rest assured that all of the strong approval workflow systems are built in here because it's part of Office 365. The system knows who is a subordinate and who is a manager or team lead, so all of those workflows are built in nicely. So let's get into it. Let's get into a live demonstration now of shifts in Microsoft Teams. Okay, as we normally do on the Office 365 Webinar Wednesday presentations, I always like to start out in the Office 365 portal, and this is just simply reached at office.com and logging in with your Office 365 subscription credentials. We're going to go ahead and select the Teams icon here. That's going to launch up our web-based version of Teams, and I'm just using the Chrome browser here, but feel free to use whichever browser fits your bill appropriately. And you can see here we're going to default right into the teams that we've created here. I have one called Winnipeg North and I have one called Head Office. Those are existing teams with existing documents, members, etc. But you can go ahead and create new teams if you do want to separate schedules. And you'll see here that it's not immediately obvious to where shifts would be. It's not one of these buttons down here at the on the left navigation. It's actually here under the More Added Apps. And you'll see it's this little clock looking icon with a purple background, and we'll just go ahead and launch into shifts. So once the interface loads up here, let's take a quick tour around just to see what's going on. You see we do have our schedule tab. We have a settings tab where you can go ahead and change your time zone, your closest city, if you want to change the start day of the week. Employee shifts, now this is where you do turn on or off the ability for employees to view and request open shifts on the schedule. We're going to talk a little bit about requests in a few minutes, but here you can change the different names and icons for maybe the different reasons that your employees would request time off. And even if you want to take this a little bit further, there is time clock functionality built into this app. It's not enabled by default. Perhaps Microsoft's assuming you're using a time card, a traditional time clock, or some sort of biometric solution. But if you do want to empower your staff to use their mobile phone, again, for remote workers, this could be a real boon. You can use your smartphone and a number of items like the system time from that smartphone and the location data from that smartphone. You can use that as a time tracking and reporting tool as well. So that's all that's under settings. We won't spend too much more time there. We'll go back to the schedule tab. Back up at the top here, we do have a few more action buttons in our ribbon. We have requests, and that's where we go into see pending and approved requests. We have a button for copying the schedule. So if you build out your team schedule, say a week at a time, and you want to copy week to week, you can. If you want to build it out month to month and copy it, you can. For those of us that still do like something physical and printed, you can go ahead and print your schedule after you have it all built out. Perhaps you want to post this in your lunch room, in your break room, for example, or you need to give that to payroll or HR for some particular reason, you can go ahead and do that there. And under the more commands, we have something that actually surprised me as I was building through this demo. There is an undo and redo button. So if you are a keyboard shortcut whiz, you can use undo redo. You can view your shared schedules, you can export the schedule, and you can refresh as you make changes as well. Okay, moving along now to this next row, we do have some navigation items as far as this calendar or schedule. We can always click back to today. If we do get a few days or weeks ahead, we can always jump back to today. We can sort here and pick a particular day or week slice of time on our schedule. We can change the view and view by day. We can view by week, by month, for example. And we do have different grouping options here as well, but just leaving it to the default view, that is a week view, and it's always going to default to the day of the week that we're currently on. Anyone that's used the week view in Outlook will be relatively comfortable with this view here in Shifts. Now down this left hand side here, we can see all of the different sort of groupings that we do have. I've gone ahead and added a few just so we have something to look at for this demo. You can see I've gone ahead and made a retail store group. I've added a few members to this group, and I have a warehouse group, and again a couple of members here, and I've gone ahead and pre-populated some shift data. So let's go and get amongst this now and take a look at the notion here of these groups. So the groups are really handy sort of sub-teams or sub-collections of folks, if you will. Maybe lets you segregate by role or by different position, if you will. Front of house, back of house, in this example, retail store and warehouse. Adding members to these, adding colleagues to these groups is as simple as just clicking on the new member here. Typing the first few letters, for example, we can pick up Alex, and we can go ahead and add Alex to this team, and we can see that he's dropped here to the bottom, and he has a total of 0 hours assigned to him in this particular week that we're viewing. Here we can also reorder these groups, so if you wanted warehouse to be visible before the retail store group, you can do that, and you can go ahead and delete entire groups as well. So what I found most useful if you are a team lead or a team manager here in Shifts is to go ahead and create your open shifts first, sort of by week, and then assign them out or let your employees request those shifts. So let's go here to Wednesday the 11th. Let's just double click on this open shift slot, and let's go ahead and see what we can add here for information. And we do have the ability to use a color code. So if you have different departments, different segregations here within your business, different roles that for example, wear different uniforms or different hard hats, for example, you can go ahead and pick those. Whether or not it has a useful case for your business, I'm not sure, but you can have a little bit of fun. You can select the start date, start time and end time for the shift. So maybe it's just a standard 8 to 5 type of 9-hour shift. Here we have the ability to change how many slots there are. Basically, how many people do we need to be in this role? So for example, you might need 2 people on shift to do this particular job. You might need 6 folks to be on staff to do this particular job. This just saves you a bunch of time instead of copying and pasting or duplicating the same information over and over again. You can just change the number here that you need. You can also see if this is an open shift, if it's sort of open to change or open to swapping around. You can give this a label, which you can then show instead of the time. So you might have something like reception. Morning is not long enough. We can just call it reception AM, and maybe this person just works till 8 a.m. till 11:30, so 3.5-hour shifts. And we're going to give this person a 15-minute unpaid break. And then again, here is the spot for managers to leave shift notes. For anybody that picks this shift up, they may see we can leave different instructions here for the person. We can even go as far as adding activities. If you want to specifically designate time to do certain tasks, you can go ahead and do those here, and again, color code them, give them a certain code that means something to your business or to payroll. We can designate if this is a paid task, paid activity, for example, but you can even go and put your breaks in here if you do want to be that rigid, and set the schedules in that manner. But for the purpose of the demo here today, let's just leave that as it is for now. Let's go ahead though and change this to 2 slots, and we will hit save here. And now Shifts will drop that all of that information that we just created here in the Open Shifts row. Now, Yoni, Patty, and Alex will be able to go either in their Teams web application, in their Teams mobile app, and request this shift, or as a manager here, we have the ability to sort of dole these shifts out or arrange them by ourselves. So you saw we did leave 2 slots open for this particular shift. So if we click on the More Actions button here, we have a few things that we can do. We can obviously copy, we can delete and share it out. We can assign it. We can add another open shift to that day. We can go and edit the details that we just finished. So again, we have 2 slots for this one. Let's go ahead and assign one of those. And you can see we click on the assign button. We have the 3 folks here that are part of our retail store group. So Alex doesn't have any shifts yet, so let's go ahead and assign one of the slots to him. And you can see that it drops it down to his timeline here, his week. He's got nothing else going on, but he is going to come in on the 11th to do some reception activities. One other thing you'll notice here as you go and build out your shifts with your teams and groups is these stars all over the place. So you can see here we've got a couple of stars, and we've got the star up here on the Share with Team button. Basically what the software does wait for is for you to sort of finish making all the changes, sort of sign off on all those changes and share them with your team by clicking that button. You can either share them with the affected team members only, or you can share them with everybody. We'll go ahead and just leave the defaults here and share them with everybody. And now anyone who is either logged into Teams using the web application here, they may be using the Windows 10 installed application for Microsoft Teams, or they might be out and about on their phones as well. They're going to get a notification saying, oh, my manager just updated the Teams schedule for the week. There's open shifts. If I was Alex, for example, I'd get a notification saying, oh, your manager has just assigned a new shift to you for Wednesday. Here's all the details. And you can kind of go ahead and do your work and prepare for your work for the upcoming week based on, again, that action of Share with Teams. So very important. As you go and build out, you'll see those stars appear. Nothing bad, just a reminder that you need to share your changes and sort of save them, if you will. One quick look here before we move on. Again, this reception AM, we still are showing this little X1 here, showing us that we have one more open shift that we need to fill. And we'll go ahead and do that from the mobile side in just a moment. Okay, here we are now on the mobile side. I've got up my trusty Samsung Galaxy phone here. We're just doing a screen share. Now, again, this is an Android phone, but this will certainly work in a very similar manner on all of the iPhones out there in the audience. So you can see here on the top left corner, we do have a notification from Teams. And again, as mentioned, this here is the notification that you'll receive when your manager, if you're part of a team, has gone ahead and published a new work schedule. And we can see here that that does also appear in the feed in Teams. So if you're quite used to working with Teams and seeing the different feeds and different notifications, you can see that there for your activity, for your team activity. But every time that, in this example, Megan does go ahead and publish some schedule changes, that'll show up here under our Winnipeg North shifts information. Now again, the shifts functionality in the mobile app is not very apparent. It's kind of hidden in a sneaky place. In the bottom of the screen here, we see activity, chat, teams, meetings, and calls. There's actually some more buttons hidden behind here. If you grab that little gray bar close to the bottom and drag the drawer up, you can see here we do have some other action buttons, if you will. We have access to our files, to our org chart, to a camera that's built into Teams for taking pictures and sending them back up to the team or through chat. And we do have our company wiki available at sort of a finger tap away. So let's go ahead and pick on shifts, and we're right back here to the Your Shifts screen. So this is kind of the hub of all of the activity that this particular user has going on. So again, without assigning a PC, without giving a desk to a particular person, this could be their personal smartphone, this could be maybe a company issued smartphone, just by installing the Teams app, the Microsoft Teams app, you can give these folks access to their shifts without all the fuss of paper-based scheduling. So again, at a glance, we can see here this particular employee needs to be at work at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Monday and Tuesday. We also do see some buttons here for requests and open shifts. So let's go ahead and go into open shifts, and you can see here's the purple reception AM shift that we made for Wednesday. We can go ahead and tap on that and see what's going on exactly. There's no notes for the day, but we do have some shift notes from our manager, arrange the new reception area and order toner. And we say, oh, we get an unpaid break of 15 minutes if we do pick up this shift. So we can go ahead and request that shift here just by hitting on that button, and you can see we get a nice confirmation message. You have requested this open shift, and we see that our manager response is pending. And we can also cancel this request. Maybe something comes up or something changes at home or in life or with another job. Who knows what's going on, but we can cancel this request here if we do need to. Now I'm going to go ahead and just line up the manager's PC again here, and let's see the notification that she gets when this particular employee requests this shift. Okay, so we're back to Megan here now. Again, Megan is the team lead or the team manager for this particular team here in Shifts. We're going to go into the requests button on her ribbon in Shifts, and we can see here that she has one done request. We don't need to worry about that. We have one request here that is open. It's for an open shift, and we have one request for it. Again, if you have multiple individuals requesting the same shift, this is where you would pick who you want to delve that out to. In this example, only Patty is requesting this open shift for AM reception. So we'll go ahead and we'll give that to her. We can write her a message if you want. And we can go ahead and approve that. And now Patty will receive a notification that you have requested, you have approved her request. So now if we jump back to Patty's smartphone, we'll see again in the feed, and we will receive a notification on our smartphone that Megan has approved that open shift. So we can go in there and see again the details. We can see that it is approved. We can see who requested it, and we can see that nice manager note, thanks for picking up this shift. Again, all sort of example material that you can put in to suit your business. And let's go back here to the Shifts main page. So again, this is back on the user Patty. We can see now that her schedule is showing her in that lavender colored reception AM shift on Wednesday. And we can see the other shifts that she has here appropriately as well. So let's dive in now to requests. If we click on that here, tap on that here in the app, we see in progress tab, and we see it completed. So here we can see we've swapped a shift prior, and we've gone ahead and requested that open shift. That's what we had just done. But otherwise, this user doesn't have any open requests. So if we click the purple plus button down here on the lower right, we see we've got two actions. We can swap or offer a shift, or we can request time off. Now, swap or offer, that's sort of interpersonnel or inter-colleague, if you will, where you can either switch two shifts between yourself and a coworker, or you can offer them a shift if you need some time off and someone needs some hours, for example. You can go ahead and swap shifts. So let's take a look at that. Let's go see, let's take Patty on the Monday, and let's take Yoni on the Monday. You know, this isn't a good example because they're working the exact same time. Maybe Tuesday. Nope, nobody has anything there. But we can go ahead and switch for Alex here in the retail store. Oh, but that might be a job that we're already doing. So you can see here it's a little tricky sometimes to do these shift swaps, if you will. Let's try a go ahead here and make an offer instead. Now we can take our shift. Let's take the retail store. That's the lavender one that we just made. Let's find a team member here. Let's see, maybe Jordan's up for it. And we'll say, we got a dentist appointment here. And we can send that off now. Again, this is an offer. So this is a straight up one way. We're going to give Jordan our shift because we have that dentist appointment. And we can see here now on the status of this request, we have a pending for team member response, and we have a pending for the manager response. So Jordan's going to get an email as well as a notification saying, hey, Patty would like to offer you a shift. Would you like to pick it up for her? If Jordan does approve, then the next step, again, all behind the scenes, that's going to fire off to the manager, who is Megan in this example. She'll get a notification saying that Patty wants to send this to Jordan. Jordan wants it. Do you approve? And Megan having the final say-off as the manager. Once she approves that, all of the affected parties will be notified. And then back on the main screen, in the Shift app, if it's in mobile or if it's in the web or desktop apps for Teams, really everything gets updated automatically. There's no need for intervention other than accepting or rejecting those notifications as a manager and as a coworker. So as we move along here, I hope that this is been eye-opening for you so far, especially if you are a team lead or a person that manages a team of employees that is responsible for making schedules and keeping track of schedules. Certainly I've seen it done in Excel. I've seen it done using other Office 365 tools, but Microsoft has really put a lot of power here into shifts and made this a really cool tool. So one last thing I want to show you on the mobile side before we jump back into the web version. I'm going to go ahead and click the plus button down here, and I want to do a request for time off now. Again, this is pretty straightforward, but we can pick the type of time off that we want. Let's say that this user is taking a holiday. You can set the start and end date. Perhaps she's going to take the 30th through the 31st off, so a couple of days off. And we can go ahead and say what exactly is going on. And again, all of those approval workflows, Office 365 does know who reports to whom in the Office sort of organizational structure. So we know that my manager is going to get an approval notification now saying, hey, this particular employee would like to take the 30th and 31st off all day for holiday pay. Maybe this fires to HR. That can be certainly set up using Office 365 and flows as well. But we can see here again, as the end user, we put in this request, and right now the current status is that our manager response is pending. And again, we do have the ability to cancel the request should something change with our family trip, for example. Okay, we're back in the web here. Again, in the request space, we can see that this new one has come in for Patty to take some time off. She's noting that it's vacation on the 30th and 31st of October. And we can go ahead and approve or deny this request here. And again, we've got this nice feature to leave a message. And we can go ahead and take the necessary action that we need to here. Now, shifts will also know that she's away on vacation, sort of with time off during those 2 days in October. So if we were building out our next plan for that particular week or that particular month, we wouldn't actually be allowed to drag Patty Fernandez into any of the open shifts. We wouldn't be able to assign any open shifts to her, because the system knows that she is away on holiday leave, as an example. So quite empowering functionality indeed. Again, certainly can be powerful when you provide this tool to your first line workers. Again, folks that don't necessarily sit at a desk or have a PC or laptop assigned to them in your organization. So one last thing I do want to mention, when you do make these changes in approval, workflows, and all of the requests, you don't have to worry about that share with the team button. Again, we covered that quite early on in the demo, but the share with team button is really important when the manager is in the web interface making changes to the shift information and some of the assignments. Lastly, let's take a look at the print preview. Again, just in case your workplace does need this information printed out, or you do want to post it in the bulletin board in the break room, you can go ahead and click on the print button. There is some scaling options if you want to make this fit landscape on a piece of paper that happens to be letter sized, legal sized, 1117, whatever tickles your fancy. You can go ahead and select those choices here. So we'll pick landscape on a piece of letter. And we'll just go ahead and print this to a PDF. I won't actually go ahead and print it, but just to show you the print preview, here we can see we've got this schedule, not the greatest in black and white, but that's just my Lexmark system here that's defaulting in those selections. So we'll just go ahead and cancel out there. Okay, so some pretty slick stuff that's included here in Microsoft Teams as part of Office 365. I just want to do a quick webinar recap, sort of wrap up all the topics that we just covered. Important to take a look at empowering your first line workers. Again, these are employees that may get passed over with the corporate IT budget. They don't get a PC dedicated to them. They don't have a laptop. But chances are all of these users are in a position where they have a smartphone. You know, it may be as simple as enabling a bring your own device policy at your workplace, assigning these folks a relatively inexpensive Office 365 subscription, and opening up the world of digital transformation to this group of workers, if you will. The example today is just a small slice of what you can do, and we can see how this can replace paper-based schedules and prevent a lot of the confusion that either whiteboard-based or paper-based schedules sort of posted in a common area can create. Again, these types of tools encourage team communication and goal setting. We saw where we could go into a single shift and set sort of mini tasks or smaller activities that we wanted to see an employee take on when they were assigned a shift, for example. We also saw on the mobile and web applications how employees can grab unscheduled shifts. They can swap shifts between employees, and we can also enable employee time off request functionality, all within the same application. One sort of last little note, it's really a clever way of retaining employees who look for these kinds of tools. We do spend a lot of time talking about millennials and the younger workforce. They've come up in an environment where they expect this type of functionality, perhaps the bring your own device policy with something like Office 365, Teams, and then all the way down to shifts can help you retain some talent, some younger talent in your workplace.